During the early 2000s, lo-fi jazz rap producer Nujabes began making his way into the mainstream. Sometimes referred to as the godfather of lo-fi, Nujabes became acclaimed for his jazzy and calming hip-hop production, becoming one of the first lo-fi producers. However, his life was tragically cut short in February 2010 after a car accident. Despite his death, Nujabes remains one of music's most important figures to this day, and his legacy continues to live on through those inspired by his music. February 7, 1974. Jun Yamada is born in Nujabes, Tokyo in Japan. Later, he would adopt the pen name Jun Seba. From a young age, Seba had a large interest in music, largely in part due to his father, who was a jazz pianist. In high school, he would begin making his own beats, largely inspired by jazz and hip-hop instrumentals. Around the age of 21, Seba would open a record store by the name of Bongo Fury Records, which would eventually be renamed to Guinness Records. Rather than focus on mainstream music in Japan, Seba preferred the underground market, focusing on selling underground hip-hop records to customers. As time went on, Seba began to take interest in selling his own works. Under the name Dimension Ball, Seba began printing his own records onto vinyls and selling them at a store. At the same time, under his name Jun Seba, he began to write for music magazines, with a focus on the underground scene especially. In 1998, Seba would found his own independent record label called Hideout Productions, which would later be renamed to Hideout Productions, without the space. Under this label, Seba would release music, this time under the name he is most known by today, Nujabes, or Jun Seba spelled in reverse. Collaborating with different Japanese artists, Seba would begin releasing albums. His first project was a 36-track mixtape called Sweet Sticky Thing, Reload All Good Music from Old to the New. He would continue to release music under the name Nujabes, collaborating with different artists, such as the album Ain't No Mystery with Verbal, Peoples Don't Stray with Funky DL, and To This Union A Son Was Born with Substantial, fellow Japanese rappers. Most influential of all was the track Lovesick, created in 2001, made in collaboration with the artist Shing02. Nujabes and Shing02, as he is commonly referred to, would go on to become lifelong collaborators, with their Lovesick tracks receiving multiple follow-ups, eventually turning into a hexology. In August of 2003, Nujabes would release his first official studio album, Metaphorical Music. The album was praised for its unique lo-fi jazz production, which at the time was almost entirely unique to him. Mixing jazz with hip-hop was already a thing at the time, but Nujabes managed to create a more calming and beautiful tone with jazz and rap, which is what eventually would earn him the moniker Godfather of Lo-Fi. Upon release, the album was modestly successful, which was enough for the artist. As time would pass, however, the album would only begin to grow in popularity, and as years would pass, it would become one of the most popular albums in the jazz rap scene. However, Nujabes was still relatively confined to only the jazz rap scene, with barely any recognition from audiences internationally. This would all change, however, in 2004. In 2004, the anime Samurai Champloo would begin airing, with a soundtrack produced by the likes of Fat John, Force of Nature, Tsuchi, and of course, Nujabes. While the anime was not very popular in Japan, it was extremely popular internationally and became a success, especially with Western audiences, who fell in love with the unique blend of hip-hop elements and samurai. This soundtrack became critically acclaimed, with many tracks off of it becoming incredibly popular with American audiences, such as the opening theme Battle Cry, my personal favorite, Aurorian Dancers, and, of course, the mixtapes Departure and Impression, which included the soundtracks in 2 different discs. Through the success of Samurai Champloo, Nujabes would begin to break through internationally, as well as beginning to enter the mainstream a little more. In 2005, the following year, Nujabes would release his second studio album, Moto Soul, met with much better reception than metaphorical music. Having increased his production skills tenfold since metaphorical music, the album was overall much cleaner, better mixed, better written, and overall a masterpiece for the Japanese artist. The album even included the third installment in the ongoing lovesick hexology with Shingo 2. Many of his longtime collaborators were also featured on the album, such as C Star, Shingo 2, and Uyami Hiroto. Following the years of success, Nujabes would continue to work on music. He would go on to collaborate with many different artists, while releasing smaller compilation albums. Around this time, he would begin working on his third studio album, Spiritual State. However, before the album would ever be finished, tragedy would strike. On February 26, 2010, Jun Seba would get involved in a traffic accident. Despite the attempts by doctors to revive him, they were unsuccessful. He would be pronounced later that day. Following his death, Nujabes would be grieved and celebrated by his fans, family, and friends. Despite his life being cut short, his legacy would continue to live on thanks to his friends and lifelong collaborators. Shingo 2 would eventually finish the lovesick hexology, releasing the last 3 parts over the next few years after Seba's death, using beats that went unused by the artist. Similarly, Spiritual State would eventually be completed and released by his collaborators, honoring his life through the album. Despite his life being cut short, Nujabes' impact on music cannot be understated. His music was part of the very start of the lo-fi subgenre, and have helped for many foreign artists to gain international recognition. Additionally, the music he made is also just really good. Some of my favorite songs are from Nujabes, and he has influenced the music I make too, as well as the music that many other musicians create. Nujabes was a legendary producer, and one of music's most important figures, who is rarely given the recognition he deserves.